Great question. My background really begins when I was little. I started having spiritual experiences at a young age. I was very clairsentient. I'm a feeler, so I feel. My intuitive experiences come through feeling. And when I was 13 years old, I woke up in the middle of the night and I saw my guardian angel above me, which opened up a lot of doors for me. My mother was metaphysical. I was raised in a New Age household, but I was raised in Salt Lake City, Utah. So I had a conflict between my own intuition and then what society was saying was normal or okay. And so from that point on, from 13 on, I started dabbling in the metaphysics, astrology, numerology, runes, things like that. But at the same time that I dabbled in it, I pushed it away because I didn't fit in, and it wasn't accepted. So, and what I do now is I'm a psychic medium, and I work as a psychic detective for an organization called Find Me. So I work on missing persons cases all over the world. And I work with parents of murdered children and organizations like that as my volunteer time. And then my job is a spiritual counselor, a psychic medium, and an author and a teacher. So I teach people how to develop their own intuition so that they don't need to go to psychics, they develop it within themselves.
Help others?
My background is, as a teenager, because I didn't fit in, I carried a lot of extra weight on my body. That's the way that I chose to protect myself, and became very judgmental and critical, not only of myself, but of the people around me. And so because of that, I had low self-esteem. I attracted people that had low self-esteem as well. And so at 18 years old, I was pregnant, single pregnant mom, on welfare, food stamps, the whole wonderful story. And so I think that once I started to take my power back and realize that I created this life, and if I created it, then I could heal it. And so I had to then take baby steps, and it was a baby steps. For me, it was, a 9-step process to heal myself, heal my heart, so that I could then reclaim my power, take my power back, and be who I really am. And so I believe that in the work that I do, I have a lot of life experience that offers itself to connecting with people one-on-one, because I've been there, I've done that, I've walked that journey, I've had disease, I've healed myself, I've gone through financial issues and relationships, and I've had a baby at a young age. And so I'm able to, I've experienced a lot of what people struggle with. And so I know that you can heal yourself. You don't have to have somebody, you don't have to go to somebody else, or you don't have to look to the medical community necessarily either to be able to bring that energy in and do the emotional work you need to do to heal. What I typically do when somebody has a disease or an illness or emotional pain that's manifesting on one level or another is I usually just mirror it back to them. I show them the root cause of it. So intuitively, I have a tendency to be able to tap into what's really going on behind the illness or behind the disease or behind the challenges in their life. And so when I can reflect that to them, when I can mirror to them what the core issue is, then we can start a process to be able to heal that, whether it is for them just the awareness of it. A lot of people aren't aware that we create these illnesses in our body because we stuff all these emotions and pains down. So sometimes it's just starting with the awareness, and then for other people it is an actual process. So it's owning it, it's taking responsibility for it, it's releasing. So there's a lot of different things depending on the situation, but I think the most important thing for them is to just be aware that they have the power to be able to heal it and don't have to feel like they're stuck with it. Like this is my destiny for the rest of my life. I'm going to have this illness or disease, even if it's said that it's incurable. Because I was on my deathbed. The doctors did come to me and say I was going to die, and 12 hours later, I had a miraculous healing. So I do believe in the power of our spirit, and I don't think the medical community always knows that. Well, for me, a big part of my healing was asking for help, and I didn't know how to ask for it on a physical level from people around me. So because I'd had an experience with my guardian angel at 13, I knew that they existed. I didn't always know that I deserved to have them around because I struggled with that. But I started asking for help on a spiritual level. And so I would ask them literally by saying, please help me. What I started to experience, though, was energies coming to me where I could see and feel the different angels and what they represented. So for me, it was literally a little 4-step process. Ask, allow, believe, receive. So asking for them to help, then allowing it in, allowing you to listen to the guidance, listen to the intuition, listen to the messages, receive it, open yourself up so that your heart, so it doesn't just stay in the head area, but it drops down into the heart, and then you get from the believing, you get to the receiving of really just allowing it to come to you and through you. So ask, allow, believe, receive allows us to, we need something to do sometimes as human beings. We need step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So once I did that, it helped me to get out of my own way, because I'm kind of a heady person myself. So I needed to get from my head to my heart, and that was the process that I did. And for me, the angelic realm was instrumental in not only my physical healing, which literally I do believe Archangel Raphael came in at a time that literally saved my life, but also on an emotional level, helped me to learn how to love myself and how to accept myself and how to embrace my own gifts and see my beauty, and then learn how to listen intuitively, listen with my body, because I do believe our body speaks to us, and spirit speaks to us through our body. So when we can listen with our hearts, or listen with our minds, or listen with our eyes, or listen with our ears, we receive those messages and then follow that guidance. Sure. So I had my son. I was a teenage pregnant mom. When I gave birth to my son, I developed 106 temperature that they couldn't find the cause of, and I had it for nearly 3 weeks. Doctors came in to me one day on a Saturday morning, and they said, we have no idea what's wrong with you. We can't find a source of infection, although my body, from my knees to my chest, was oozing infection. We have nothing else we can do for you. We don't think you're going to make it. So we would like you to sign your rights away, because you're a single mom. We would like you to sign your rights over to your parents or whoever you want your son. So what happened was, after that happened, I realized how sick I was. I didn't really know, because I wasn't in my body most of that time. I was above my body. I saw what was happening, but I wasn't a part of it, it seemed. But when they came in and told me that, I realized how sick I was. And immediately, Archangel Raphael's energy came to me, and I started calling. I just invoked him. I visualized the color green, that healing energy. And then I was guided to, right after that, call every family member, every friend that I've ever known, $323 phone bill, and ask them to pray for me, to send healing energy to me, to put me on the temple list and on the prayer chains. And when I did that, which was very difficult, because that's having to ask for help and then receive it, which I didn't feel deserving or worthy of at that time. But once I did that, within 12 hours, my temperature broke for the first time in 3 weeks. And the next day, I checked myself out of the hospital. Although I wasn't healthy yet, I checked myself out of the hospital because I didn't feel like the hospital was where my healing was happening. It was within myself.
That's amazing.
I think that everybody is gifted. I just don't think everybody knows it. We all are spirit embodied, and so we all have the same ability as others, but it develops in different talents, and we have to develop it. It's like a muscle that we have to work. So for some people, they might call it a gut feeling. Well, that is intuition. People get gut feelings all the time, but they might not refer to it as a gut feeling. They might say, oh, I just had a sense, or I don't know, I just kind of felt like I should turn right, and I avoided a car accident. So a lot of people pass it off as just something they did just because, instead of it being intuition. So I think that it is a muscle. We have to learn how to develop it. And when we do that, the experience from that, it starts to manifest in stronger and stronger and stronger ways. So that's one of the reasons I teach intuition, teach how to develop it so that people can build their own muscles so they don't have to go outside of themselves to find the answers. They stay and go within themselves to receive those answers, whether that's from the angelic realm, your spirit guides, deceased loved ones. It doesn't matter to me. It's really where people resonate the most and who they feel guided to work with and connect with.
How would
It's the first step in developing your intuition is recognizing what your natural gift is. So there's 4 different ways we receive spiritual guidance: clairvoyance, which is seeing, clairaudient, which is hearing, clear hearing, claircognizant, which is knowing, clear knowing, and clairsentient, which is feeling, clear feeling. So when we start to, the first thing I would do is let's discern which is your strongest attribute. Are you someone who gets gut feelings? Are you someone that when you hear bad news, you feel it in your stomach, or you feel that pressure in your heart? Are you someone that hears messages, like hears voices outside of your head, or that little voice within that's an audible type of voice? Are you someone that has dreams that are prophetic, that come true? Are you someone that sees auras and energies around people? And from there, then you can start to focus on embracing that gift. A lot of people don't like the gifts they have. I was one of those. So I'm a clairsentient. I grew up as a child. I felt everybody's everything, all their emotion, all their sadness, all their pain. So I didn't like it. I didn't want it, and I pushed against it. So when we embrace it, that's the first step, is we embrace that gift. Then that's almost like the key that unlocks the door to all the others. Then the entire intuition starts to open up. Once we do that, then it's learning. It's learning how your intuition is working with you, and that is discernment. And discernment is not something you can teach. It's experience, and luckily we have a lifetime to experience it. And it's day to day to day to day.
now
How the spirit world is speaking to us.
Exactly.
So they speak to us in a lot of different ways. The strongest way is through our body. It's through our sight and our hearing and our feeling and our senses. But they leave signs all around us. The radio coming on with your favorite song, or a song that reminds you of a loved one. Scent is a very strong way that spirit speaks to us. So a deceased loved one, and maybe you're sitting in a room where there's no vents and there's nothing, and you smell the scent of the perfume that your grandmother wore, or the tobacco that your grandfather smoked. Also signs like pennies, leaving pennies on the ground. And it's not just if you find a penny. One penny doesn't mean anything. It's if it's consistent over and over and over again. It's a way that spirit says, hey, we're here, just want you to know. One of the strongest ways, though, is electricity. So it is television, it's lights, it's cell phones and telephones, doorknobs, things that are ringing or creating your attention. And a lot of people are like, well, why are they coming that way? Usually it's just for them to let you know that they're around. It isn't always a message like watch out or be careful. A lot of times it's just the spirit world, especially deceased loved ones, that are wanting us to know, hey, I'm still here. They drop their picture on the floor in front of you, or like right after my grandmother died, on my phone, this was before cell phones, my phone, a call came from her phone number. And she hadn't had that phone for a year. And there was her phone number and her name right there. I was like, okay, I gotcha. I gotcha. So, it's beautiful and it's amazing the way that spirit can come to us. But the thing is that people struggle with is so many people are so in their head, and they're thinking about what happened last week, last year, 20 years ago. Or they're thinking about what's going to happen next year, next week, that they're not present. And spirit speaks in present moment. You don't get a message from spirit in the future or in the past. It's in this present moment. So you have to be present and aware in order to receive the messages. That's a good one. Prevention. A lot of people struggle with disease or illness, and oftentimes the way that spirit is trying to speak to us is subtle. We get little subtleties. We get a little little bit of a sore throat, that might be, hey, take better care of yourself. Or speak your truth, speak up, communicate, express what you need to say. When we don't do it, and we don't pay attention to those subtleties, it gets a little bit stronger. And so then it might be a serious cold, and so that develops, it gets a little bit stronger. If we don't listen to that and we don't pay attention to the underlying message, which is, let's just say it's expressing yourself, then we might develop thyroid issues. And if we don't listen to that, it might develop as thyroid cancer. Okay, so the idea is that it starts out usually with a very subtle message, and then when we don't pay attention, it gets stronger and stronger. Not because we need to learn a lesson, but because our body is saying, I need your attention. And if we don't give it a voice, it will find its own voice. Whatever emotion we're not giving a voice to will find its own voice, and it's usually through an illness or a disease, because that's when we pay attention. So how can we avoid disease or illness? Pay attention. Be present again. Present in the moment, present in our body. What's my body telling me? What is it needing? What am I not listening to? What am I in resistance with? One of the experiences that I have is many years ago, about 15 years ago, I was diagnosed with osteopenia, which is a step before osteoporosis. Usually, that's something that women over the age of 55 or 60 start to experience. I was 26. And the doctor said, you have osteopenia, you need to go on medication. I said, oh no, I don't do medication. I'm not a medication person. So I said, I'll do my own work, because I knew that I needed to do something to pay attention to what was happening in my body. And so what I told the doctors was, they wanted me to go on medication immediately because I was so young. And I said, nope, I'm not going on medication, but what I will do is I'll do my own work. I'll come back in 6 months. And if in 6 months there's something still going on, then I'm willing to at least listen to what you have to suggest. So over that 6 months, I started doing affirmations, visualization about bones, because it was the structure. It was feeling solid in your foundation. It was about standing up for myself, and that was what the osteopenia was representing to me in my emotions. So I started doing that work, and I also started speaking my truth, standing more in my power, but the visualization and affirmations were the most important part. The other thing I did on a dietary level was I pulled out caffeine. I quit drinking soda, because that was also one of the things that I had learned was not healthy for me. Within 6 months, I went back to the doctor. It might have been 8 months or so that I went back. So with the osteopenia, when I did finally go back to the doctor 6 or 8 months later, which they told me I couldn't even develop more bone again, so it wasn't something that I could make better. And of course, when I went back, I was fine. There was I was still on the low end, but I was no longer in the scary zone or osteopenia. There was no name for it. So I literally had, through affirmations, positive thinking, visualization, which I think is so powerful with healing our bodies. I've used it in many cases in my life. And taking that one dietary change, pulling caffeine out, literally brought my bones back to the state that they were supposed to be in. It's okay. So what I started doing for the visualization was I didn't know what to visualize. So what I visualized was my bones strong and healthy, and the way that I visualized that was the color white. So I just imagined that my bones were just the solid white, because to me it felt like if they were getting weaker, that maybe they were like kind of grayish or something. So I visualized the color white and my bones all through my entire body. My main problem was my knees. And my hips, but that's where what I visualized. And then I did the affirmation, I'm strong and healthy. I stand in my power. That was the affirmation that I said. And I did it hundreds of times a day, over and over and over again. And between that and the visualization and then pulling the caffeine out, literally, it was gone. It was healed.
How long did it take you?
Well, I don't know how long it took, because I didn't go back to the doctor until about 6 to 8 months later. But somewhere in that time frame, it reversed itself. And when I went, they said, "Oh, the test must have been wrong." Of course. And I'm like, I don't think so, because you guys did it twice. Because they're like, "Oh, this can't be the reading. You're only 26 years old." So So that was really a miracle. And so I think that when we start to take our own power back and we believe, the biggest thing for me is if you have the power to create it, you have the power to heal it, period. And whatever that is, whether that's through belief system, whether it's through meditation, whether it's through visualization, diet, exercise, if you created it, there's emotion. I believe that everything that manifests in the physical body is coming from some sort of emotion, and that it's needing a voice. And the voice is the way that it manifests as the body, the disease or the illness or whatever we might call that. Absolutely. I think it's an absolute blessing because it's Spirit's way of saying something is out of alignment. Your body is not at ease, and we're meant to be at ease. So here's a little awareness, and then, oh, you didn't pay attention to that one. Here's a little bit bigger awareness. Come on, pay attention to me. And then when we don't pay attention long enough, then it becomes something serious. So if we stay present, I'm all about being present in the moment. If we stay present in the moment, not only can we be aware of the signs that Spirit is sharing with us, but we can also be aware of the signs that Spirit is sharing with us through our bodies. And that is a huge gift. Well, when people are depressed, that is the lowest vibration that there is. Depression, shame, guilt, hatred. Those are the low vibrations. Not meaning that it's bad, it's just a low vibration. So a lot of times when you're in a low vibration, you can't see the high vibrations. That's too far away. So we just take a baby step. So maybe we want to get from that really low vibration. The first step I would say is let's just be aware of where we are. That's the first step. So instead of saying, okay, well, you're depressed and you need to be healed and be better, which is too far away. You're depressed, and let's just take a step and look within and see what might be going on. What can you see from your own perspective? Because if I'm standing over here and I'm in my happy joy, if you are in a depressed state and you feel that heavy vibration, you can't see the lightness, the happy, joy. So if I'm standing next to you, you're depressed and I'm not, I'm probably going to irritate you, is probably what's going to happen, because that's too far away from where I am. So if I say, oh, well, just be like this, that's not going to work. So what I would suggest is baby steps, and each person's is a little bit different. But the first step is awareness of the issue. The second step is look within. Let's look within and see what is it that's going on with you. What are you feeling? And so as we start to, and then we just move that energy up a little bit. Maybe from depression we get to anger. Anger is a higher vibration than depression is, because anger, at least there's some movement, there's some action usually around anger. And so we just would step up the vibrational chart with them instead of trying to go, okay, well, you just need to be happier. That won't work for someone, and they can't hear it. And usually when you're in that space, I've been in that space in my life, when you're in that space and you have someone that's just, all sunshiny and excited, you're like, get away from me. So it just irritates you. So that's not helpful. So we want someone that can, when we're in a depressed state, we want someone that can hear where we're at, not support it or enable it, hear where we're at, and give us baby steps to get out of it. Move the energy. The other thing that I would do, especially with someone that was depressed, that I find that helps a lot, is I would have them write their pain, their anger, their frustration, and burn it, so that it transmutes the energy. A lot of people write, they journal, but they leave it in their notebooks. And then the next day they write again, and all that energy is sitting there in that notebook. I like to think about it as, let's just say I have pain in my knee. I would tell people to write to the pain. Like, what do I need to learn? Why are you here? What do I need to release in order to release you? What am I meant to learn from this experience? And I think when we start tapping into our body and giving our body a voice, it will speak to us and tell us what we need. Always, for me, it's always about asking for help. from the spirit world and in the physical world as well. But yes, we'd ask for Archangel Raphael, the angel of healing, because in his vibration, it's physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual healing. So you don't, and I don't always think you need to know what you need to heal, you just know that you need healing. And when we start to ask for that help, then it can come to us in ways that maybe we couldn't see. You know, so as a depressed person, you might not be able to see the miracles and the possibilities that are around the corner. But if I ask for help and I'm open, I ask for help from my heart instead of from my head. When we ask for help from our head, a lot of times that's victim mode, and we're just really kind of feeling sorry for ourselves. But when we ask for help from our heart and we open ourselves up to receive it, that's when the blessings and the miracles occur. Well, it's interesting. That's an interesting question for me because since that time, I was 13, I've never experienced it since. So it's interesting to talk about these lower vibrations because the experience that I had at 13, my brother had his angels around him all the time. And these negative energies, my parents fought a lot. There was a lot of heavy vibration in the home. And so one day they went out, and I didn't see him. I could feel him. My little brother could see these heavy, lower vibrations, and it scared both of us, so much so that we just sat in the corner of the house until my parents came home. But the next day I was introduced to Archangel Michael, and calling in Michael to help me to protect my own energy and maintain my own energy so that I didn't give my power away. I've never experienced, now I've experienced low energy, absolutely, and I've experienced fear and pain and things like that, but as far as like the negative entities in spirit form, I haven't ever experienced them since. And I believe it's because I have such a strong connection and ability to protect my own energy, maintain my own energy so that I'm not absorbing that negativity, that I just have been blessed to not have that experience. So I don't have a lot to share on it because I'm very grateful for that. But I have clients that have experiences like that. And so when I work with them is to teach them how to own their own power, maintain their own energy. For me, it's calling in Archangel Michael so that they're not absorbing all the energy around them, but instead being able to observe it, being able to see it instead of suck it in, so to speak, take it on. And I recognize, like when I walk into a place where there's a lot of addiction, I walk into a bar or something like that where there's a lot of alcohol and addiction energy, I do recognize that there are spirits that have addicted energy that are in that space as well. So oftentimes people go into a place like that, their energy is very open, they open themselves up and that energy comes home with them. So that does happen.
Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time today. It was such a pleasure. And, and please continue the good work. Maybe we'll see you in Arizona.
Yes.
You'll probably be touring, but maybe.
Yeah, hey, you never know. I'm there once in a while, or maybe California if you're still there, you know.